Hey, guys, it is Alison. I am the host of your show, Alison Answers Mission Awake. I cannot wait to sit down with you today and go over how we are going to crush the mediocrity in your life that has been plaguing our society since the beginning of time. I cannot wait to have a real deal conversation that includes intelligence, fun, excitement, and real actionable steps to make a real difference in the life that you're living now and making it into something you can be damn proud of and excited to live. Sit down, put on your damn seatbelt, and get ready for the ride of your life. Hey guys, how are you today? It is Alison from Alison Answers and Lager Counseling Services. We are coming right back at you with the second part to our two-part therapeutic session hour on the podcast with Michelle. If you guys were tuned in to the last episode, you heard where we left off at the core of where Michelle's depression lay. And what we do in the next part of this interview is we really go into the primary programming that has created this later difficulty socially, emotionally, and relationally in Michelle's expectations in relationships. So put on your seatbelt, take notes. Please apply this to your own life. Take a look inward and see how you're programmed and how it's playing out in all these subtle ways that are invisible to you and creating outcomes that you may not want. So I'm really looking forward to you having this experience with Michelle. Okay, so now if you were to look at that and say, I'm in a pattern that I'm actually a part of, that I'm creating. It's not because of him. He's in the pattern too. Yeah. What is it that what would make you, just like any one of us, believe me, I have patterns too. So I don't want you to understand. I want you to understand there's no one on this earth. You're just brave enough to get your ass on this podcast and talk about it. Okay. Yes. So I don't want you to feel bad about this. Yeah. You know how many young girls are in the same situation as you and they don't know why? So
my best friend does the same thing with her boyfriend, and we always yell at each other. We're always like, we're doing the same things with these two men, and neither one of us change it. Like,
I'm going to tell you something. If you really want to change it, I can tell you exactly how to change it. Mm-hmm. Really, literally, you could change it. Mm-hmm. So, and I am going to tell you how to change it. But the number one thing you want to know, as soon as you really know the reason that you're doing it, you've begun the process of change. So
I feel like the reason that I'm doing it is because I feel like I need to be constantly affirmed because of that whole not feeling like wanted, not feeling loved. Like I constantly need that, where I'm like, no, if you don't tell me, my brain automatically goes to thinking that it's not true.
Okay, so now this is the question. So I would say to you that I think that there is great value in being with a person who gives you attention, who shows you that you're valuable, and all of those things. That is something that I have always expected. And so one of the things that I would say is I expect attention, but I don't need it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's go back to when people are needing attention to resolve something that doesn't have anything to do with the relationship, then that's not going to resolve your need, right? Mm-hmm. So what we need to know is, where did that need develop?
Probably from the breakup, honestly, because I don't think I probably did subconsciously from like being bullied and like needing to be like accepted and stuff. But I didn't feel it in relationships. He was a Band-Aid, you know? So it's like, I didn't notice that. So this is the first time after our breakup that I'm struggling with.
Can I just tell you something, honey? Look, so basically both of these relationships, entirely different relationships, are both pointing to the same issue.
Okay.
Can you see it? We don't usually see that.
The fact that you're like, I mean, I'm seeing it now that you're explaining it, but like they're so polar opposites.
Exactly.
That like it didn't occur to me.
Yes,
Yeah.
because this is what happens with people. That's why it's very good to dig in and look. It's not easy to look at ourselves. It's not. And it's not easy also to look at the relationship that you're in, because I've had the same experience where when you're trying to describe a relationship and then people are knocking on that relationship,
Mhm.
you want to like kill them,
Yeah.
like stop, right? Because, you
Yeah.
see, but it's not about him or either one of them. It's about that, whatever that need is inside.
Yeah.
We all have need. It's just, it's
Mhm.
getting a legitimate need met in illegitimate ways. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's my problem, because I know that I have that issue about needing to feel wanted. So
Mhm.
that's why I go back and forth so much, because I'm like, how much of that is my issue of me
Yes.
actually being, but then how much of it is him just like not being a good boyfriend, where it's like you should be putting some effort in, because like, yes, he should be putting something in.
Well, listen,
So
yeah, I agree.
that's why we're in the cycle, because I don't know what it more, and I'm like, I don't know what would benefit me more, to try and take that leap and be like, well, he can give you that independence in this, because he's not like a relationship where you're attached at the hip. Like, that would be a good thing, because you'd be able to, grow and be happy with yourself. Or is this genuinely just not what the type of relationship that you want, and is just he really not meeting what you want in a relationship, and is this not the right thing? And I'm like, that's what I go back and forth with.
I don't blame you. And you know what? That's classic for every
Yeah.
single one of us, because
Yeah.
if we have some issue, which we all do, doesn't matter what it is. When we're in a situation where the issue is present, it is very hard to be able to evaluate the situation in and of itself, because we have this other thing going on, right? Makes
Yeah.
sense? So, what's the solution? The
Yeah.
solution may not feel great, but it's a really good solution. The first thing is that the majority of your attention and focus right now is on what?
Probably him, to be honest.
Okay. So if we were to not make any external decisions about him at all, because a lot of people feel like, oh, when I start to talk to them about codependency or about a relationship, I'm going to tell them to break up. Never, ever. I never say that. All you have to do is stop focusing on them and turn the focus around and just be fully present in yourself. That's the first thing.
Mhm.
And so you want to be emotionally sober. So instead of whatever he does or doesn't do, he doesn't call, he doesn't whatever. Now, when you have that strong feeling, you go inward and you say, Michelle, what is it about this behavior right now, or this lack of behavior right now, that is having such a frightening experience inside of you? Michelle, what is it that feels so threatening right now about this lack of contact? And then you do not focus on what he's doing. You focus on what you're afraid of,
Yeah.
what is threatening your heart, what you keep going, right? There's that. Then what I can tell you about how to change a situation, you can change it in like a minute. And I'm really not kidding.
Mhm.
If you keep doing what you always did, you will keep getting what you always got.
Yes.
You are in a pattern repeatedly over and over again. In this relationship, it's a cycle. And so the way relationships work, anything, dynamics in a family, in a system, is that everybody has scripts. So if I were to say to you, hey, Michelle, if you said to this man, hey, I haven't heard from you. What would you say if you haven't heard from him? What would happen? Let's do the script.
Okay. I'd be like, hi, like, or question mark or something. And
In a text?
yeah.
Okay.
And
how many times have you done that? Is that typically the way it would roll?
yeah, it depends on my mood. I really don't like texting him if he's not hitting me up, because I'm more of like, I'm very stubborn, and I'm like, no, he should be texting me first, so I'm just gonna wait for him to text me. So
do you wait a long time and then do you eventually
yeah.
text, or do you wait?
Normally that's how it goes. Normally I wait a while. Like yesterday, so I haven't heard from him since Saturday. So I waited all day Sunday and then all day yesterday. And I finally texted him at like 5:30 yesterday. And
Is
I was
that
like,
the amount of time you usually wait?
probably, yeah.
Okay, so let's stop there.
Yeah,
Because
probably
that
like
would be
almost 2 days.
okay. So whether he realizes it or not, you
Mhm.
guys are both programmed for that. If
Yep.
that's like a time period. So what would happen? Because what you want is you would like him to be reaching out to you, and you don't
Mhm.
like that he doesn't. And when you finally do reach out to him, how do you feel about yourself when you do that?
Shitty.
Okay. So that right there, if I were to ask you, do you think that's in your best interest at that moment since you feel shitty? Not forget about relationship rules.
Yeah, no.
Does that work?
No.
Okay. So then, and if you keep doing that, you'll keep getting the same result, right?
Yep.
So then you
Mhm.
say it, then what does he do when he gets back to you?
He goes, "Hi, terribly sorry. But like I was terribly sorry I went off the radar, or like I went MIA. Like, so sorry. How's it going?"
And then you feel,
Annoyed because I'm like, it's fantastic. It's so great. Like, I've just been waiting to hear from you for 48 hours, and then I finally hear from you. Literally, like, as soon as I text you, you answer me rather quickly, and you're like, "Oh, how's it going?"
okay. So you, what do you think? So you don't want to feel that feeling?
Nope, I always do.
You end up, you do, right? So what do you
Always.
do? Yeah. So do you want to stop feeling that?
Yeah, and I'm always like, "Well, I'm disappointed that I haven't heard from you."
And
And
he
and then
said,
it's always just, "Oh yeah, again, like my apologies." I'm like, "I'm gonna whack you in the face." Like, I can't, like, it's so annoying.
okay.
It's
So let
so
me
annoying.
ask you a question, love. Okay. Just think about this for a minute.
Mhm.
Okay. So is the solution to the way that you feel based in him and what he says or does then, or if he changes?
What do you mean?
Like, you feel like this crappy feeling. It's been,
Mhm.
a couple of days and
Yeah.
you feel frustrated. Is the resolution for that feeling, does it feel like it's based in him changing?
That's been the problem so far. Yeah, is that
Yeah.
I feel like the only way I'm not gonna get upset is if he doesn't do these things.
Yeah. So then what that means is that he has the power over your emotional state, that in a
Oh,
way,
100%.
yeah, you're a hostage emotionally to his behavior.
100%.
Yeah. So do you believe that you can be free from being a hostage?
Every time I've tried, it has not worked out.
Well,
So
how do you
uh,
try?
I want that's my problem is I just want to learn how to be happy by myself. Like, I
Okay.
don't like that my happiness relies on a guy. Like, even if it is him or even if it's just somebody else, like, I don't like, I hate that.
How do you think that that would change?
I just I mean, I've been kind of working on it for like a while, but I feel like I genuinely don't know how to like actually fix it,
Okay.
like being happy like by myself because I have that innate loneliness like so embedded in me. It's
Mhm.
so easy for me when I'm trying to be happy alone. It just always shifts into the loneliness headspace, always.
Yeah. So really what is so important is that part of you that's alone needs a voice.
Yeah.
That part of you that's hurting so much, that is getting these momentary periods of relief by saying, I'm so mad at you, or I'm so hurt, or this, I'm disappointed. That's the voice, right?
Yeah.
So to be able to give that part of you that may be very young, or I don't know, give that little part of you a voice to be able to share what really hurts, not in the context of another person, but what is it that's you're longing for, that you're missing, that hurts so badly that you need. So one of the things we do is that we try to align with situations that will help us to express the feeling that's already there. So he gives you the opportunity to feel what's already inside.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, whether he's doing the right thing or the wrong thing is not even something I think about in the moment, because in the moment, once you have an understanding of what you're longing for so much, and you're kind to that part of yourself, and you meet that need in the way that will actually work, because we all feelings are to be felt. So you're getting an opportunity over and over again to express disappointment and loneliness and feeling, not cared for and confused. You're getting an opportunity to feel it over and over again. That tells me that that's already in you.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And that's why I get very easily triggered, because it is already there.
Of course. Of course you would. How could you not?
Yeah.
So basically what needs to happen next is that, so there's two levels to this. One is addressing that part of you that's really not feeling well. And that may have something to do with why you don't physically feel well. And that could also be related to the anxiety. It definitely is the anxiety and the depression. So now, and we become addicted to the feelings we have felt the most. Our bodies create receptors for those feelings. And then when we don't feel those feelings, we go into a state of withdrawal chemically, just like a drug. So
that makes so much sense, because I feel like that's why I literally do my own dumbass things, and I do this all to myself. And I'm like, you're so stupid. Like, why are you doing that? And it's like, that's why.
Yes, well, because, and it's not an issue of stupidity. It's an issue of being in an actual state of withdrawal. The only way to know or to stop that is to know and to say, oh, I'm actually going through withdrawal of the feeling of disappointment and loneliness right now. And I am going crazy. I need someone somewhere to either make me feel this again, or to, you're desperate to feel lonely or desperate to feel that. And it sounds counterintuitive, but it's a fact. This is what happens.
No, it makes sense, because I felt it before. But my two questions now are, one, how do you identify that that's what it is? Especially with depression, there's always a blurred line. There is always, like, when I feel like when I'm depressed, I'm like, is anything I'm thinking even real right now? Does anything even make sense? Because you're just so in your head about everything. So, like, how can I make sure that I'm like, one, like, this is actually rationally like what's going on? And then,
what do you mean rationally going on? What does that
like, how can I like determine, like, this is your body's need to feel these things, not just you spiraling?
Well, the thing is, does it really matter?
I guess not. Like, if you need to feel it, you need to feel it type thing.
Well, I mean, you're having this experience inside of your body, and in that moment, that it is a dragging, pulling feeling that's happening. And are you repeatedly, being lured in or aligning with situations that will create it? So the thing is that, so one of the things to do about it is, first of all, to know that we can address that in a minute. The next thing is, relationally, what do you do? Just like we're addicted to things, emotional states, to thoughts, to behaviors, to beliefs, we also become scripted in relationships. You basically know the pattern. You both know it. The period of time. The number one thing to do, and it's so simple, you're going to actually laugh. And it's so simple, and most people don't do it, but it actually works. So basically, whatever you're doing with him, stop.
Okay.
And what I mean is, it could be a lot of different things. So it could be whatever the pattern is, you don't want to do that pattern. So, for example, it could be that if you're playing a game where you're not going to text him because you're waiting for him to disappoint you, he's going to.
Yeah.
Don't do that anymore. And you can do that in two different ways. And it doesn't really matter which way you do it, really. It actually may matter. Everybody who's listening probably like, no, don't do the first one. But, I don't know. I mean, so if you want to talk to somebody all the time, what is the reason that you're waiting 2 days to talk to him? That's one. Maybe because you don't believe that he'll show an effort, and you need a person in your life who will.
Yes.
Listen, as far as I'm concerned, it's just personal opinion. I expect a man to pay complete attention to me and to pursue me, and I won't go in any other direction. It doesn't matter to me. And it doesn't, and I don't care if it's right or wrong. It's just what I know I want, and that's what I need, and that's what I'm doing. Doesn't matter. So if that's what you want, and you know that, and that's a baseline. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, I feel like that's,
Okay. Listen, and this is not about an opinion about that. Other people might say, who cares? Well, they may not care. And you may not. But so now let's say, but then when something becomes a game, there's a problem already. So what I think is that, what could you do differently that would satisfy your longing? Now, I don't mean he's going to give you what you want. So let's say you didn't do what you always do. You don't text him at that 2-day mark. Now you're going to go through frequent withdrawal. You're going to go crazy, right?
Yes.
So let's just say you don't. Now, I want you to think about it. So in a system or a relationship where there's scripts, he's going to naturally just feel that it's about time when you're going to contact him. Now, either he will not contact you, right? And that will up your feeling. There's something that happens that's called a change back move. And what that means is that when you're in a pattern with a person, it doesn't matter who they are, when you're in a pattern and then you stop doing the pattern, they unconsciously do a change back move, which could be the thing that would create in you such a push that you would do the thing that they have expected you to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it could be that he just doesn't contact you, or it could be, I don't know, something that would make you even feel even crazier, and just have to contact him. Or one of the things that could happen is he could actually feel and experience that what you want, can you let him miss you? And if he really does not want to contact you, right, would you want to know that? Okay. So do you think you could lose by not doing that thing?
No, the only reason I even contact him in the first place is because I just get so sick of being in the negative headspace of thinking about it, waiting for him. And that's the only reason I break, not because I actually want to hear from him or whatever.
But that's the whole point.
That's what, and that's
the whole point is that now, instead of making it about him, now you're going to sit with, and I'm not talking about live with, I'm talking about breaking out of a life of repeatedly feeling that, and finally facing that part of you and asking the kind questions, treating yourself like a really true friend, and to say, honey, what's going on? Now let's do something different. Let's focus on you. What would make you feel better? And then what you're doing is you're moving yourself through the withdrawal. That makes sense?
That's my problem. That's why I never been able to move through it. I just constantly, once I'm there, that's it. It's all hope is gone. That's what I struggle with.
Are you willing to go to rehab?
Oh yeah.
Are you willing to go detox, basically? And basically it's detox. And in the detox, you're going to see more of the truth. You're going to see what really is this terrorized feeling that's going to amount and it could get worse, but you're going to live through it. You're going to ride the wave, and you're going to let it crest, get to the highest point, and then you're going to breathe through it, and you're going to teach yourself that you can be okay without him. And you're not going to blame him for your pain anymore, because no one is responsible for your pain. No one. What do you think of that?
I'm already getting to that point where I used to blame him way more, and I feel like I already don't as much, because I'm starting to slowly. Have
you taught him to disappoint you?
I think that's just always, I don't even think that even needed to be taught. That was just always the lesson from first day of school. That's that's where we were. That's just how we started. That's all we know.
But if you think about it, all you know is him being disappointing and you being disappointed.
Yep.
So he must need to be disappointing and you must need to be disappointed.
Yeah.
And are you ready to not be in that role anymore?
Yeah, I think we're both ready to break out of those.
But did you see how you just went right to him?
Yeah.
We're both ready.
Yeah.
Suppose he's not. Suppose he needs to be disappointing for another 2 months, but you don't want to be disappointed. Could
Gotcha.
you be a woman who's not going to be disappointed? And it doesn't mean that he's changed yet. It means that he will no longer live as a person who's disappointed.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, definitely.
What are you hearing me say?
I definitely like, it's just that I'm not gonna like be disappointed by him all the time anymore.
You're going to go to yourself.
Yeah, that's just my thing. Like I can picture myself like not being disappointed by him all the time. I can't necessarily picture myself just not being disappointed about everything in general, and like disappointed and like upset about it. Like I still feel like it's going to be hard for me to like get out of that depressive state. And it's like I can remove myself, because I have in the past, of him, and like he's not the reason for it anymore. I mean, I guess he is, like, kind of, because then I'm upset that he's not around. So I guess it's like the same thing.
That's where the energy is going. That's where the focus is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So yeah.
No, it's not him.
Yeah.
So, you know, what I mean, he has his own, whatever his is, but what I would say to you is that's the first, very, very first step to actually healing and finding out what that disappointment is. Now, does that mean, now this is what I would have been afraid of at your age. If somebody told me this, I would have, scared to death, is that the person is telling me that I can't be in a relationship. So what I'm saying to you, I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you that the relationship that you're in with yourself, it will really, really help you to turn around and be a wise observer of that disappointment and find the source of it. Not because it's there, it's living in you. And part of it is the chemically that you're addicted to it, right? And part of it probably comes from a lot of different things. So like, let's say, for example, as an only child that was getting a lot of affirmation and a lot of consistent communication of your value, which may be translated into the concept that without that, I'm nothing. You know, that could happen. And then going to school and not having that same kind of experience, right? And also people hurting you. I mean,
I feel like the number one thing, like when I go into those like states, it's like, it's always the breakup. That's like always the turning point for me, is like, that's always what I look to.
You mean the first breakup?
Yeah.
So let me ask you to do something. This will really be a big move. It will really help you. So when you go to feel that feeling, right? You start to feel that. And then you're like, you remember that breakup, which was so agonizing. I get it. I'm going to ask you to shift your thoughts away from that. It's going to be very hard.
Yeah.
And ask and say, no, it's past that.
Okay.
He gave you an opportunity to solve it and to feel it both.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is I didn't feel it beforehand.
Right.
So that's where it stops. It starts and stops like right there, you know?
Well, maybe you didn't feel that unbelievably extreme loss, which is the first heartache is like the worst ever, like of anything, right?
Yeah, it's terrible.
But if you think about the underlying experience, right? Of being in high school, of being, even when I asked you when you were home and you were getting all that love and attention, you did feel lonely.
Yeah.
Right. And you did want, when you described college, you wanted friends so much that you were willing to compromise yourself. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's an ongoing experience. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that it needs to be loved and healed. And the biggest block to getting healed is focusing on some other thing that we believe is the reason for it. That will block you from knowing what happened before. Like, he solved it. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Because he was giving all that.
Yeah. So what are like the correct things that I should be telling myself? Because like now that I know like where the loneliness really stems from, like even like pre-breakup, like how do I, like once I identify that, how am I like gonna shift to being like okay with that, or like healing that, I guess?
Well, I'll give you one exercise to do, which is really cool. You can, if you identify it as some younger part of you, right? So it doesn't have to be younger, but we can just call it that. So one of the things I have people do is I have them write a letter back and forth. Dear little Michelle, dear big Michelle, dear little Michelle, dear big Michelle. So what as the adult you would write, dear little Michelle. Or you could start, dear big Michelle. So I'm going to give you an example. Dear big Michelle, how come you keep forcing me to be loved by others? Dear big Michelle, how come you left me so long ago? Because what ends up happening as a little girl, let's just use it like that. As a little girl, let's say you felt lonely for some reason as a little girl. I don't know what it could be. There's a million reasons that, you know, we don't have to blame anyone. It just, whatever. One of the things that we do is that if, let's say, your parents were always giving you love, you may have always had to be happy. I mean, I know that that was part of something that happened with my own life, that, you know, like you can fall into that when people are always like, they really just want you happy and they're always like giving and loving you. You almost feel like an obligation to be. And so if, let's say you had a feeling of loneliness because you were an only child, it could happen. That's not unusual. So then at that point, you may have had to say, I'm making this up, I'm not saying it's true. You may have had to say, you know what? Stop. Everything's good in your life. You don't have to feel lonely, you know, and stop, shut up. And at that point, we will not grow emotionally. We'll grow up and, you know, but what will happen is we will stay a certain age emotionally in certain parts of ourselves, which you see, I mean, you could see it in people who suddenly act really immature, right? I mean, you're like, wait a minute, you're an adult and how come you're acting like this, right?
Yeah,
so
literally.
that part of you that is, let's say, very lonely may have had to have been abandoned by you. Does that make sense?
A little, yeah.
So let me say what I mean by that is, when you're lonely, if you could have said to your mom or your dad or somebody, I don't know, I really just feel so down, I feel lonely, I feel like I need something, right? Now let's say you felt like you didn't want to disappoint them by saying it. I don't know, I'm making this up. Is that, so then you would have to, in order to be a part of that system, not demonstrate that you're lonely. Does that make sense? So we will abandon a part of ourselves in order to fit in a social or a community, right? So I'm not going to be, you know, I'm well adjusted, I have good parents, blah, blah, blah. I'm not lonely. Whatever, but
like
I
a fake smile thing.
Yes, exactly. So then that part of you stays that age, that lonely, and abandoned. So
Gotcha.
does that make sense?
So
now the adult part may be like, shut the F up. Stop. There's nothing wrong. Look around you. This life is perfect. It could have been with your boyfriend too. You may have had an ache or a loneliness, and then you're like, stop, look, he's so good to you. What are you doing? Stop complaining. You know, like, shut up. That's the adult abandoning that other part of you that has no voice. So what you do is you want to become integrated as a human being, because we have different ages. The only context that our younger self grows in is in the context of love and acceptance. And that's all you want, Michelle, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that little part of you needs to reconnect with the older part of you. So that doesn't mean that you write a letter to the little part and say, oh, I love you so much, you're so wonderful, if you don't feel it. You tell the truth. You say, I wish you would shut the F up, if that's how you feel. I don't know how you feel. I'm just making that up. You tell the truth to it. You let that part of you tell you the truth. Does this make sense? What would your lonely part say?
I wish I had a sibling.
Okay. I wish I had a sibling.
Yeah. Or like more friends.
Yes. I wish I had a sibling.
Yeah.
I wish I had
like I want
friends.
more people my age around me.
Yes. And not having that makes me feel what?
Upset, alone, different, definitely different. More anxious with people my age when I am around them because I don't know how to be around them because I'm never around them.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Did you feel like it was hard to be able to express that or tell people that? Is that?
Yeah, I never said anything.
Well, think about that.
Yeah.
So now if you gave that little girl a voice to just express it, you just expressed it in a very like, it was direct and clear way, but there's a lot of other feelings underneath that probably are very primitive, because the things that we bury alive, like parts of ourselves, they become more and more primitive. And they feel like if I ever express this, I'll die, or I'll never stop crying, or, so it's almost like an ongoing ache that just feels like I can't even tell anyone, because it even feels so maybe young, maybe almost like, like you want to just cry and say, I'm lonely. I need something. I need someone. Where is everyone? Why am I by myself? Why aren't you texting me? Why aren't you calling me?
Yeah.
And then you have this other boyfriend who's there. He's obnoxiously in love with me. He's constantly there for me. Do you see it?
Yeah.
You see the little girl in there?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
just say yes to me if you don't.
No, I do.
What does this feel like?
Ugh. Like, I mean, more just like frustrating because it's the same feeling, just in such a different context.
So let's think about it. That means that you're getting better. It's the same feeling in a different context tells me and you that it's not the context that we have to fix anymore.
Yeah.
It's the feeling inside. It's that part of you that needs the help. And stop tinkering around on the outside to fix an internal problem.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to tell you a story and then we're going to stop.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Right.
The story is this. A man, there's a blackout in his house and in his neighborhood, and he drops his keys. He starts looking all over his house for his keys. He cannot find them. He goes outside because he sees a light like of the moon outside, and he goes outside to look for his keys. His neighbor comes over and says, "Hey, buddy, what are you looking for?" And he says, "I'm looking for my keys. I can't find them anywhere." And the neighbor is like, "Okay, let me help you." So now they're looking for the keys, right? So then the neighbor says, "Where did you lose your keys?" And he says, "Inside by my sofa." And the neighbor says, "Well, how come you're looking out here?" And he says, "Because it's light out here." Now, the truth is that do you hear that story? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We have a problem inside, and because it looks like outside, we're going to find the answer. There's no answer out there.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
You feel sad and depressed after this conversation?
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about how it's not going to be sad and depressing, because sometimes when you find a part of yourself, it can feel that way.
Yeah.
Because if you can look at it as a proactive experience, that you have found a part of you that has been lost and has been desperate and has been searching just for simple things that you deserve and that you really want, that it was just been hard for you to express. So you look for situations outside of you that make that feeling make sense. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense to you, what I just said?
Yeah.
It's a way of trying to make sense of something that doesn't feel like it makes any sense. It makes sense when you describe the guy who just doesn't text you for 2 days. Then the feeling makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? The boyfriend breaking up out of nowhere makes sense.
Yeah.
What we really want to heal is the part that inside, we have a lot of parts inside of ourselves that don't make any sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't have to make sense of it. You just need to allow it to feel and express. It doesn't mean that you're going to live there. You know how fast, once you identify something and then when the feeling arises, as soon as it comes up, you say, oh, shoot, I expected you. You show up often and you're here because this situation is giving you an opportunity to feel this really, really bad feeling. So listen, honey, you identify what it is that hurts. Yeah. That lonely feeling has just arisen. You want to separate it from the circumstance. And you want to also find out what are the thoughts that are contributing to that feeling. Does that make sense? So and this will actually require another therapy session. The belief, you want to know the belief that is fueling that feeling, because there's beliefs underneath that fuel.
Are those your core beliefs?
Yes.
Joanne's so big on those.
Yes, she is. Yes. Core beliefs. The thoughts that you think the most. We have about 90,000 thoughts a day. 91% of those thoughts are the same thoughts we thought yesterday. The only way to change our inner world is to use the 9% of creative thought to pivot away from the thoughts that support disappointed, lonely, I'm never going to have a peer, I'm never going to have the love that I need, whatever those thoughts are. Oh, here we go again.
Yeah.
You want to not allow your mind, you want to be in charge of your mind, because you'll just call more of those situations to you. Now on the surface, what you do is you don't do the same shit with that guy that you do.
Yeah.
And you are a wise observer. So now I'm not, you know what? When he becomes distant, you're basically supporting a behavior you hate.
Yeah.
So now you allow him to not contact you.
Yeah.
You suffer through the feeling and you move it away from him.
Okay.
And understand what is it about this situation, because adults can be left, but they cannot be abandoned. Children can be abandoned. He's a free person and he can decide to do whatever he wants. And what he's deciding to do could make him not have a person that's very important to him in his life. And if that happens, then he would have to feel that feeling, but you're not allowing him to feel it. You're not allowing him to feel the consequences of what it would mean to not contact someone who has made it very clear that they need to be contacted. You're not letting him do that.
Yeah.
And that's not fair. To allow him to suffer at a loss. And if you really expect something from him, let him do it. And if he doesn't do it, it's very clear you're telling yourself, by not accepting that, you're telling yourself how you're going to be treated. And guess what happens? You get treated that way.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
We 100% command how we're treated.
Yeah, definitely.
What are you thinking?
Oh, just like kind of the same thing. So it's like, okay, well, like now, like really diving into where that feeling stems from, it's like almost, I guess, like, well, we know he's not going to change. So it's like, now that I have this,
we don't know that
switch.
We don't know that.
When pigs fly, Alison.
No, but listen, I want to just point something out. Do you see where you immediately went? You said you started to talk about that vulnerable part of you and said, and we already know that he's not going to change. So it went right to him.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I'm now, like, my thought is like, so if he stays the exact same. Okay. And then the only thing that's changing now is me. Like,
that's so good. That's the best way to be. That is it. That's the solution.
Exactly. And now that kind of just leaves me of like, how much am I going to, I guess, deal with from him? Like, am I actually
Nothing.
to be okay?
Nothing.
Yeah.
You're not dealing with anything that
Yeah.
doesn't resonate with what you want. Listen to me. Listen, this, okay, this communicates love like you have no idea. Love for you and love for him.
Mhm.
You're not playing a game. You're not going to not contact him so that he feels like shit. And that's the reason he contacts you? No. You're
Yeah.
going to let him feel his feelings related to his behavior, whatever they are. Right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But the surest way to change any relationship anywhere, no matter what kind of relationship it is, what is the surest way to change it? You can't change the person. Forget about it. That's what
Yeah.
you're doing. Forget about that. Where is your
Yeah.
greatest command?
I mean, yourself.
100%. You want to
Yeah.
change any relationship, change yourself.
Yeah.
So it's a fact. It is my job to take care of myself in my relationships. It is not your job to take care of me. When
Yeah.
I take care of myself, either you join me
Yeah.
or you don't. But you are much more likely to join me when I demonstrate my own care for myself. If I
Okay.
don't, there's a very good chance you're not. You are so much less likely to get what you want if you don't do it for yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess like now my focus will just be myself,
That's
my thing,
it.
and then like just waiting to see if he wants to join or not.
We're
I
not
guess.
going to wait. We don't
Yeah.
wait. We don't
Yeah.
wait. There's no waiting.
Yeah.
You're going to do you without waiting. You're not
Yep.
going to look at the clock, the day,
Yep.
the time.
Yep.
You may notice that there hasn't been contact, but that shouldn't surprise you.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, a pattern is a pattern, but you're
Mhm.
not going to provide the rest of the pattern on your end. You're leaving the pattern, so the pattern has to change.
So if he contacts me, I don't go back into that pattern of like, well, why didn't you talk to
No,
me?
absolutely not. Hey, what's up? How are you?
Just like everything's fine.
No, but I'm not talking about pretending.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
No, like not doing the same
doing
thing.
your life.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
he asks, how are you doing? It's just, I'm doing whatever
Yeah.
I'm doing.
Like
Yeah,
I'm not
in the
letting
middle
you
of
bother
something.
me. Yeah.
Well, not going to act. You're going to learn
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
to not allow that to take you hostage emotionally again.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
Whatever we practice, we get good at.
Yeah.
You've practiced this with him for a while, so you've gotten good at it.
Yeah.
He's gotten good at feeling like a disappointment, and you've gotten good at feeling disappointed. You want to practice not living a life of disappointment anymore based on other human beings.
Yep.
If you think about it, as a child in a house where you don't have other peers, it's just, this is, every family size has different issues. A 2-child home has issues, so I'm not like pointing out yours, but it's everyone. A large family has other issues.
Yeah.
For you, your issue, it can feel there's no other mirroring back of a same age person, and it can translate into what's wrong with me, I'm weird, or what am I can't figure myself out, right? That sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you may long for someone else to communicate your value or who you are, or am I doing this right, or right? Does it make sense?
Yeah. That's been my problem for years though, because of this very issue that we talked about. It's like I try too hard and I need to just be myself and then let other people do their thing, like not have me be trying so hard, and like if it comes naturally, it comes naturally. It's always me trying to force something.
Well, what's interesting about that, the reason that any of us would force something is because we feel like in order to have something, we have to make it happen.
Oh, of course.
So
That's
not
literally
being able to believe that you're valuable enough to receive that, so you're going to make it.
That's me. And I'm like, well, this guy's not going to X me out on his own, so like I have to do it,
Well, what I want to tell you about young men your age, that is the surest way to push every man away.
Oh my God, I know. And it's like the worst. That's why I'm still single, but it's like, and then I always try to like not do it, but then I just get annoyed, and I'm also like impatient. So I'm like, okay, well, like, stop wasting my time. Like,
Well, you want
I'm
to
not
live.
the play it cool. Like, I need to like just like literally like let them pursue. My mom's always like, boys like to pursue. Like, let them pursue, let them do. And like, I'm just literally me thriving, like existing, and like not caring so much. But it's always me caring and being like, okay, so like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And like just pushing because I'm like obsessing about it.
Well, they can't win like that. Because men need to, women need to receive and men need to give. If you just look at a male female body, that's the way it is. Men need to, hunter gatherer, they need to go and they need to win, and they need to be able to have some sort of, if they believe that they cannot, first of all, if something is not, they don't have to work for it, it doesn't have value. And if they don't, and if they believe that they can't win, they're not going to want to do it. So he's in a situation with you where he cannot win.
Yes.
He's not going to feel good about himself or the interaction.
Yep.
So there's a lot to the surest way. I am telling you, just head, heart, feet, all in the same spot. You have a feeling, go inward, stop going outward. Do not do anything to stop your own feeling that has to do with anyone else. Leave everybody else alone when it comes to your feelings. Okay. Don't look for anybody to fix your feelings but you.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? Can you do that?
Try.
let's do. You don't know this about me, but I don't let people say try.
Okay.
We don't try, we do.
Okay.
So if you only do it in the moment that you're in, 20 seconds. Okay, I can do this for 20 seconds. Then let me put my timer on again. I'll do it for another 20 seconds. Okay, let me put my timer on again. Okay. I want to contact him. I'm going to go out and I'm going to go here with my friend. I'm going to go for a walk with my dog. Yeah. I'm not going to do what I do every time. Yes. If I have to chew my arm off, yeah, I'm going to shut off my phone.
Yep.
You got me?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you want to say to everybody who's listening? Because did we forget that they're all here listening?
Yeah, just I guess thanks for listening. And after having talked about everything, you could all probably assume that I'm definitely wondering what you're all thinking of me. Because that's how I am.
I can't wait to get the comments. And guys, I really, really want you to tell Michelle from your heart. And nothing, if there's haters, I'll delete your ass. But basically, tell her what you think of her, because she has incredible value. She just doesn't know it, right?
Thank you. Yeah, I struggle with that, but I don't know. I just hope that somebody could relate to something that I'm saying, and also just like be more open to talk about things that you don't necessarily want to talk about. Because I think it's helpful for other people too, not just for yourself. So I think it could benefit a lot of people. And if you need therapy, Joanne, Alison, they are 12 out of 10s. They are great. I think like everybody can benefit from therapy. So if you want to talk to someone, I think you probably should. I think that's a good idea.
Let me ask you, what's going to be different in your life?
My thought process when I'm sad. Like, I don't like the headspace that I go to when I'm sad and like thinking about it and like having it be about like the men and everything. Like, I feel like it's really gonna be different. And like, if I do, let's say like I get triggered by that, and like, let's say I fall back into it of like being sad from him. I'm kind of gonna switch it to be like, okay, well, we're here, but he's not actually the reason why we're here. So like, let's think about the reason why we're here.
Yes, and you're going to interact with yourself instead of him, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That?
Yep, definitely.
Listen, it was such an honor to talk to you. I want to thank you so much for being so open.
Of course.
And I know it's hard. It is hard to do this, but God, if I had like 5 more times with you, kick some ass over here.
Yeah, honestly.
Seriously, I want you to just keep the focus on yourself. Pivot away from feelings and thoughts and beliefs that are keeping you in this pattern, because you don't want to be in the pattern, and you have the say so over your mind. It's going to feel so crazy. Everything you tell yourself is going to sound like a lie, but the things that you're already saying are the lie, that he's your solution.
Yes.
Nothing outside of ourselves is our solution.
Yeah.
It's not. Ever. You understand that?
Yeah.
All right. Guys, thank you so much for listening. It's just an honor that you were able to sit this long. All right, guys. Talk to you soon.